I'm going to be trying a new type of video today, and it is responding to some of the comments on this video, which is called "The Metaverse is Worse Than You Thought." I have it playing right there, and the thumbnail says "Guide to Pure Evil" for Pure Evil. I decided to make this because I wanted to try another form of commentary, and I had some videos about the metaverse do pretty well on my YouTube and on Instagram as well, so why not share my thoughts when it comes to some of the comments for this video. Quick thing is that if you haven't watched the video, I'm going to link it in the description, and I really recommend you watch it because it is an awesome video. Really loved it. High quality, amazing. But essentially it's talking about all the problems about the metaverse and how they're trying to monetize our attention, and they're trying to force people to live on their platform. And with how Facebook recently showed that they're having a decline in users for the first time on their platform, I think that it's interesting to see what might happen next when it comes to Facebook as a platform. Now, let's look into some of these comments here that I have on the screen recording. I'm probably going to put it right over here, but there are a lot of really good ones. Bill Cipher says, "It's simple. The metaverse will control us and our reality. Never forget you'll own nothing and be happy." I think this is a great first comment because the goal of the metaverse is to get people to stay on their platform 24/7, kind of like WALL-E. If you ever watched that Disney Pixar movie, which was awesome. You'll own nothing and be happy, meaning like you can spend money on NFTs, you can spend money on cryptocurrency, but all of that stuff just lives on a digital space. So if you turn it off, it's all gone. It actually reminds me of a real estate client that I worked with when he was talking about how Bitcoin was dropping like crazy and cryptocurrency was just crashing recently. And he was saying like, what happens when it goes to zero? You'll have nothing in whatever you invested in. Whereas for property, at least you will own property. You'll have something that's tangible. And I think that's interesting, talking about how you'll own nothing and be happy, because they want you to be happy about whatever you own in the metaverse. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually something. Like, they're creating value out of nothing. And sometimes YouTube is like that too. Like, YouTube is also an online platform. So you own nothing and be happy. But the interesting thing is that the metaverse is really like they want to create a virtual world, and you'll own something in that world, but it's only still just within that world. And I think it has its problems. Back in the days, people labeled this type of things as a conspiracy theory. We're now seeing it come to fruition. That is true. Sometimes people talk about how, oh, like, it might be a conspiracy. Shreya says, "This was depressing. I, for one, cannot fathom the thought of ever wanting to abandon the real world for a virtual one. But I can see why it may appeal to many people out there." The thing about the metaverse is that I think it's hard for them to sugarcoat what they're really trying to do. But I do think that there is value in building stronger connections, leveraging tech. Like, I'm all for leveraging tech. I believe that there's value for that. But abandoning the real world for a virtual one, that could be a possibility that happens in the future. And that would suck, because the real world is way better. And ideally, Facebook wants everybody to abandon that and just use their platform, because every second that a person is spending on that platform, Facebook is making money by gathering the data or by selling ads to that person. So the virtual one can be useful, especially with connecting with people that you can't connect with in real life. And it might appeal to many people out there, but I also feel like there's a certain line that needs to be drawn. Just don't join the metaverse. Well, what's interesting about the metaverse and Facebook and Instagram as well is that there's a lot of people who depend on these platforms for their livelihood. YouTube is the same, actually, for me, for example. And they have power over that, because what they have is Facebook has invested interest of many people. Like if there is business, there's livelihood, there's millions and billions of dollars being transacted through Instagram, through Facebook, YouTube is the same as well. Anybody who is benefiting from these platforms, they will continue to drink the Kool-Aid. I think YouTube is, to a certain extent, is like that as well. But to me, I believe that YouTube brings a lot of joy and happiness and amazing content things. And Facebook is the same as well. But the thing about just don't join the metaverse, it might not be that easy because there are people who already have invested interest in that platform. And those massive creators, like the Snoop Dogg example that this person talked about, those massive creators are going to promote NFTs, going to promote the metaverse and encourage people to do it. And people would want to join. It's like if your mom joins the metaverse and she's like, oh, I want to spend time with you, but you're not here. And I want to have a virtual date with you, for example. You might be inclined to do it because you'll be like, damn it, I think this is not a good solution, but someone close to me and someone I trust is suggesting it. Next one, it says, this Senior Edwin says, the sad reality is that people do fantasize this idea because they actually don't want to think and prefer others to make decisions for them. Well, I would say humans they love juxtaposition. So essentially, one side of human beings like to be told what to do because it actually relieves stress. Like we actually like mundane things sometimes. We like just going with the flow because that provides us with peace and tranquility. And many things can offer that to us. But one of the things is if we think less, it's less stress on our bodies. And we enjoy that. But the other side of it is that humans also inherently have goals. Like that's what separates us from the hunter-gatherer stage. And they inherently want to achieve things and want to make decisions for their own. That's why humans have been able to advance through technology and throughout the years in society. They've been able to break past previous issues like the Black Plague or like the Roman Catholic like suppression of technology and science, all of that. We've been able to break through that because humans also inherently have that. So it's actually a duality, right? Part of us wants to constantly improve, but also we don't like improvement because it's stressful and we like being told what to do. And that's why it's all about finding balance. The metaverse can be the end of humanity. Hard to say. But if we become so sucked up into this metaverse and we don't care about the climate change, and because of the fact that the metaverse is powered by NFTs and Bitcoin, and because Bitcoin causes so much damage to the environment, we might all end up just sitting inside our homes, being insulated from the smog, and maybe it could be the end of humanity. Who knows? The scary thing is, this is already reflected in our society today. Imagine how much worse it will get once the metaverse is fully implemented. So talking about this is, so essentially he's talking about what is being reflected in our society, and it's how social media has inexplicably been a part of everybody's lives, whether they want to or not. Social media was created as a tool to help us communicate. But anything that is a tool requires time and resources. And once money is involved, capitalism takes over, and you will want to make money, to make the most amount of money out of that product as possible. So like social media has been helpful to us in terms of staying connected, and like I use Messenger and WhatsApp and Instagram and everything all the time, but there's also the downsides. The pandemic feels like an introduction to Metaverse. Keep social distancing, have online Zoom meetings. Cameras ain't just enough. Jump into Metaverse. Recently I realized the difference between conspiracy and theory is reality is about 6 to 12 months into the future. I agree with this for sure. The pandemic has really streamlined and really fast-forwarded how technology can really seep into our lives. One video I wanted to make was talking about just how much money these massive tech companies have been making because of the pandemic. since we are not able to see each other in person, which doesn't cost us anything aside from traditional resources like time, spending to see somebody, cars, airplanes. Because of the pandemic where you have to be socially distanced, everybody is using technology. And that's why Google, Facebook, and everybody has been having record profits for the most part because of the fact that everybody's utilizing tech to stay in touch with each other and to remain human, right? Like getting walled up and not being able to talk to anybody is really difficult. And Amazon has been doing a lot better. Everything tech related has been doing better because of the pandemic. Igor says the scariest part would be AI when it comes to the metaverse. Imagine an artificial intelligence ruling the world. That can be a possibility because we always want machines to help us, and then the classic fallacy is that eventually machines will take over our lives. And then what he's hinting at is like maybe we would like that, because what if there was an AI who would make every decision for me and my life quality would improve? Maybe my goal is to become very successful and this AI would help me do all of that. And then that way I don't have any stress and I can just follow the AI. That's an interesting thought. But I'm more on the team for being able to still make decisions on our own. Let's do one more because I know this video is already 10 minutes long. Some dude says, I've been a gamer my whole life and I really don't think the metaverse is going to go that far. Might be something to poke around on for fun, but it'll never be as big as people think it'll be. Also, as other people have stated in the comments, we're already sucked into the matrix via existing social media. So he's saying like, oh, well, Moon over here has a hypothesis of what might happen to the metaverse, but it might not be that bad. And I can understand his perspective because the metaverse could just be a fad too. A fad, not a fad. A fad that might fade away into oblivion because people realize that real life might be better. And also the way that social media has really seeped into our lives right now is actually kind of a good balance, right? Like, I know that social media is controversial. Like some people don't like it, some people like it. For me, I think it's a creative outlet. And for the most part, we have a choice to a certain extent in terms of how much social media can become a part of our lives. So he said it might be fun to poke around, but it'll never be as big as people think it'll be, meaning like it's not gonna take over our lives. So I think it's a really 50-50 chance. I'm actually more on the side that it might not take over his life because he said he's been a gamer, and that's true. Like there's VR chat, there's a lot of games out there, but even the craziest gamers still try to have some balance in life, and if they don't, that's when they're really struggling and they're really having issues with work-life balance, which is awful. So I think ending off with this comment is good because he's talking about how the metaverse will be in 10 years or so, and because of the fact that there can be games that are very addicting, he still believes that it will just become another part of social media, which we're already part of. It'll just be another part of the existing addiction and more endorphins that are currently running through our bodies. And there we have it. We have this kind of experimental content that I made talking about the comments on the metaverse. And hope you enjoy some of the commentary and some of the thoughts I have when it comes to some of these comments. I think they're really funny. That's why I picked them. I think it's also really interesting because this is a fascinating topic and a case study. And maybe in 10 years from now, I can look back at this video and think, I was so naive. Or maybe think like, I was right all along and that's why I'm a millionaire. Thank you so much for watching. You can check out some of my other videos I probably have linked just around here. But remember to like the video, and if you want to see more of me, subscribe to my channel. That would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you all